Hello, alchemists, and welcome. Today's question is, what challenge in your life is actually a sacred initiation? If you've already chosen your card, your doorway, then check the timestamps below. If not, I'm going to go ahead and give you a closer look. Doorway number 1. Doorway number 2. And doorway number 3. Okay, let the great work begin. Welcome to your initiation through doorway number 1, Alchemist. Today you chose the Nectar. So what challenge in your life is actually a sacred initiation? The Nectar as an archetype is very much like about understanding the sweetness of life. And I feel like as an initiation card, it might be that like you're having trouble or struggling to see the sweetness in life, and which is completely understandable. I mean, life is not, a walk in the park. So let's get some expansion on this, because the Nectar is also, I feel like there's an aspect of it that's like sugary sweet, right? So like not everything that appears sweet is good for you. But we'll have to see what the other cards say. Let's take a look at your shadow card. A braid, so kind of entwined with a ring around it. Okay. I'm kind of getting energy of a relationship, and whether that's romantic or, like I said, with a dream or something. But with this ring, it could be a romantic relationship if that resonates for you. And basically with the Nectar card in your sacred initiation challenge, in this ring, it makes me think that maybe you are interconnected or entangled with somebody, and you thought it was going to be a much sweeter situation than it turned out to be. So let's see this. Moon circles support. I wonder if you're not feeling the level of support that you expected in this situation. And that definitely happens a lot. I mean, people try to sell us on their best qualities and they might hide the other things. Or a lot of times we're blinded by the sweetness to maybe the underlying issues that we need to deal with at the beginning of a new connection or even a prolonged connection, to make sure that we are not fooling ourselves about the reality of the situation. Limerence is such a thing, right? And so if you're not feeling supported, then you need to find people who support you. If you're feeling confused, you need to find clarity. And the goal with this is to find the sweetness in life for real. And because, like I said, lots of people are selling us false sweetness, right? Oh, this is the thing that's going to make you happy. Oh, people will play games to make themselves seem like the right connection for you. And I'm just getting this message real quick that says, don't always share a lot of information at the beginning, because a person might use that in order to like mold themselves into who they thought you wanted them to be. But this situation, Alchemist, is meant to transmute the false identities around whatever this connection is or this dream is into true sweetness and true support. Now let's expand upon this with your tarot cards. 10 of Cups. Yeah. So at the other side of this, when you can, and this isn't even about like, say, leaving a relationship that you're in or abandoning a certain connection. It may have the potential to be something great, only you know that. But what it's saying is to find the sweetness of life, to land in this 10 of Cups energy of just emotional and spiritual and heartfelt abundance. You need to make sure that you're drinking the pure nectar of life and not some shoddy sugar water substitute for it, right? And that if you become entangled with somebody, make sure that they're supportive, make sure they're loving. And so if you are struggling in a relationship right now because you thought it was going to be this and it turned out to be this entanglement, then the initiation is actually to break open your wounds around relationships so you don't fall into the same pattern again and again, right? So that you have enough self-respect to disentangle yourself from relationships and show healthy detachment. So attaching to someone is a control thing. It's a way to soothe our emotions. And so your sacred initiation is about how to learn loving detachment so that you can taste the true sweetness of life and gain the support that you deserve. 2 of Swords. Yeah. I feel like you've had sort of a battle inside you about this, about like, why are things like this? Why do I have to feel this way? Like, you might even go back and forth, like one day being like, oh, this is amazing. And the next day being like, I'm so confused. You might be getting mixed signals. Like I said, I feel like this is more of a relationship kind of thing, whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship. But, you know, and it puts you at a standstill because one day you might be like, oh, I'm ready to end this connection. And the next day you're like, oh, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. And it just keeps you really confused. And, you know, that's not a great place to be. And like I always say, if you're confused in a relationship, you need to really step back and think about if that is the right thing for you. 7 of Pentacles. And this 7 of Pentacles I like because the pentacles are like underground and there's like roots and a seed growing up. So it's sort of like underneath the surface, there's the productive, healing thoughts developing in your mind and your subconscious. And that's probably what led you to this specific doorway. Because when those seeds are planted below, you can't ignore it. You can ignore it for a while, but once those trees or those seeds start sprouting, you're just going to get more and more agitated. You know, I always say we rise to the level of our wounds. And if we ignore a wound, it's just going to explode out. So when you start feeling that, you really need to study it and reflect on it and not run away from it. 2 of Wands. You are ready to move forward. You know, especially along with the 7 of Pentacles, you are ready to let go of the unhealthy attachments, the unhealthy entanglements. You know, limerence, the state of, you know, where people like love bomb each other, or they feel like basically they fall in love with the dream of a certain person rather than the reality. And when the reality hits, you know, anyone can play the game and make themselves look compatible to you. But if they aren't truly compatible with you, it will out eventually, right? But you've reached a point where you're done. The sacred initiation was meant to push you to that point where you had to recognize and you could no longer ignore what was going on. Yeah. And that will put you in this Queen of Swords energy, cutting through the BS, being clear about your boundaries, being so self-empowered that these kinds of entangled connections, these kinds of attached connections will not even be able to get near you because you'll have risen above that. So if you get into another relationship or, you know, looking for another friendship or whatever, it won't be entanglement. It won't be binding you. It will be sweet because they'll have passed your developed filter. The Queen, no one's going to come up to the Queen of Swords and pull this BS, right? Because she's got a sword. She's like, I'm not, So yes, your sacred initiation is transmuting you from attachment to healthy detachment. Let's see what your affirmation card says today. I inhale the highest and best vibrations. I inhale all the joys of life's blessings. I love that for this because the sigh of relief you get, after this transmutation, it's very painful. But the sigh of relief you get when you feel like you've actually dug out that core wound and healed it and stepped into your own vibrancy and your own sovereignty is something indescribable. And the more that you work on breath work and raising your vibration, the easier it will be to transmute this. But at the same time, remember, the more that you work on your vibration, the more that your vibration is not going to align with these kinds of entangled situations. So a lot of people don't raise their vibration because they know they aren't going to match the old vibration of the old people that, and they don't want to let that go yet. And that's their choice. That's your choice. But, eventually, especially with really spiritually minded people, they just can't hold it back anymore. It's going to burst out one way or the other. So just as well work with it. Well, Alchemist, continue the great work. Thank you for being here. And please leave a comment below if this resonated for you. And I will see you next time. Hi, Alchemist, and welcome to your initiation through doorway number 2. Our question today is, what challenge in your life is actually a sacred initiation? And you chose the flame, right here by this flame. So with the flame as an archetype, especially when in regards to initiation, it is the first light of the fire in your heart. There's a spark there. So like, it could be that like you're having thoughts about your life purpose and your spiritual drive that maybe you could sort of feel as a light spark, or you could have felt as like a burst of flame, or that took a while to notice. But also it could be about rekindling the fire in your soul, because a lot of times the world literally just, I see like in the heart, I see it as like a beautiful flame. And literally the world will just like try to dump water on your flame or bury it in dirt and muck. And so a lot of times people feel like that their flame has been completely obliterated. But the truth is that flame is never gone. So let's pull your shadow card and see what this has to do with your sacred initiation. Okay, well, this tells me that this has to do with feeling like that maybe you lost passion in your life, that you had dreams, but they've kind of washed away in tears. So yeah, this is more like I feel like my flame is gone. But remember, your flame is never gone. You might have to unbury it. You might have to stop the flow of external water trying to put your flame out. And I feel like a lot of times if you have a lot of sadness or depression, it feels like your tears drown your own flame out. But remember, those feelings like sadness, melancholy, depression, all of those feelings, they come from, they're signals that something is hurting inside and needs attention. Like I said, the reason we have pain if we break our leg or something is because it's trying to signal our body, fix this, fix this. But remember, I'm going to say it again. Your flame is not something that ever disappears. It doesn't matter what you go through. It is never gone. It can get buried, but it's never gone. And you might have even met people in your life who you're like, whoa, that person has no spark left. That person, a lot of times with narcissists and things like that, they have buried their spark so deep that, they might not be able to even dig it out in a lifetime. But the point is the work is worth doing. Drawing down the moon. Knowledge. Yeah. Knowing yourself, exploring, instead of running from the pain or feeling like that this loss of spark is inevitable. This initiation, this sacred initiation is calling for you to challenge, to seek out, to find out the knowledge of what is going on in your mind that is causing this. Where is the root of this? And especially with drawing down the moon, the moon is the subconscious, hidden things, emotions. Drawing down the moon is also like a sacred ritual that can be done by some people. And so in this context, see this exploration of your subconscious not as a challenge, but as a sacred ritual, as a sacred initiation, to not just to heal this and stop the pain and to bring your flame back, but to fully become yourself. Yourself is always there. It's just you've got to uncover it from everything that's been. You want to in order to rekindle your flame, this initiation is challenging you to explore yourself ritualistically. And whether that means you're spiritual and you're going to do a ritual, or if it just means exploring the sacred space in your mind and body without judgment. One of the things that Vipassana meditation teaches is that when you meditate and you have a pain, you've put your focus on that pain. And it's because a lot of times, that pain is there as a signal and it just needs to be acknowledged. And on top of that, a lot of times it goes away because of that, because it just needs to be felt. But also, if you put your attention and focus on it, and you can start seeing the shape of it or hearing the sounds of it, or you might not get any message immediately, but because you gave it that focused attention, it gives your subconscious the space to start working through it. And then a lot of times the answers will start trickling up through the subconscious. And remember, the subconscious controls like 95% of what you say, do, you think. So almost everything that you do in your life comes from your conditioning and programming in your subconscious, if you do not open a doorway between the two safely, with assistance if needed, because it can be a very treacherous place if you haven't done shadow work and stuff. But Two of Wands. This also came up in Doorway 1, so if you resonated with that, check that out as well. You're ready to move forward with this. You're tired of being kind of caught up in these patterns that you do not understand, like maybe why you do what you do or why you feel the way you feel. Strength. You are stronger than you think you are. You have got this. Your flame is not nearly as buried as you think, even though sometimes it might feel like, I don't know, I just get this feeling of like internal crying. Like even when you're out in the world, you might just be crying internally. And it's just time for you to get in touch with your subconscious. And that's almost always working on reparenting, becoming the parent to your inner child that you never had if you had bad experiences as a child, whether that was a parent or somebody else. You got to become the person that you needed as a kid. King of Pentacles. Yeah. With the King of Pentacles, that really gives me like earth-based issues that have a spiritual element. And by exploring it spiritually, you'll actually ground yourself in the material plane and maybe not feel like this initiation is a destroying initiation. Because remember, sacred initiations, you can look at them through a spiritual lens, like the universe is setting this up for you so that you can, heal through stuff. But what it really is that it's karma. And karma is in the results of actions, not karma as in the great judge above us. So the results of actions is that maybe you were treated a certain way as a kid, and that set up certain subconscious patterns in you. And now you act a certain way, but you have no idea you're acting that way for that reason. And so drawing down the moon, aka drawing your subconscious conditionings out into the open so you can retrain yourself, that is your initiation. That is what you're being drawn to do. And the best part is the brain is so neuroplastic, like neuroplasticity. You can retrain your brain really quick on a lot of things. Temperance. Yeah. Don't feel like you have to get it all done at once. It's a balancing act, right? Don't feel because it's actually can be a trap. Don't feel disappointed in yourself if like you pull something out of your subconscious and then things get a lot harder or sadder for a while, because you're talking about stuff that's just laying dormant in there and untouched and unknown and unacknowledged for years or decades. So you've got to give yourself grace. Give your inner child grace. Give your flame grace. Give your tears grace. Look at that. So awakening. This is a special card for this deck. Look at that. You're being called to wake up to your own sacred self. Wake up your inner child and give them the space that they need to feel loved and healed so that you feel loved and healed. Because that inner child is the key to reigniting your flame, your passion for life, instead of just seeing the world as a dull, gray, sad place. One of the things that happened to me, I went through like years of really bad depression and trauma and stuff. And when I did my transmutation process, which is always ongoing, the colors looked so gray. And afterwards, the world, that literally greens looked vibrant. I could see detailed colors on the trees. The tree trunks had like purples in them and blues. And I can see that now. And I still see it to this day. But I couldn't see it then. Everything looked so gray. Your affirmation. I will not let my thoughts control the way I feel. Boom. Boom. Don't believe everything you think, because so many of your thoughts are just those repeated patterns that you were taught as a kid. And so you can retrain your thoughts. And when your life is the story you tell yourself. So when you reframe your own story, even if it feels wrong and weird at first, like if you've always been kind of a pessimistic person or seen, the worst things, it can be really hard, but just do it for a while and see what happens. Your thoughts shape your reality. Perception is the difference between making the best of things and being sad, even if you have everything. Well, alchemists, I'm so proud of you. This is really difficult, shadow work. And the cards show that you are up for it. Your sacred initiation is going to be challenging, but I see nothing in here that says anything except that your flame is ready to be lit again and you're not going to put it off anymore. So continue the great work, alchemists. And please comment below if this resonated with you. And I'll see you next time. Hello, alchemist, and welcome to your initiation through doorway 3. Our question today is, what challenge in your life is actually a sacred initiation? Ooh, you got the bridge. The bridge can mean a lot of different things. It can be about transitions in your life, obviously. Water being emotions. It can be about how you build frameworks around your emotional state, not to repress your emotion, but to stop it from running your life, right? So many people just let their emotions run their life, but then there's other people who repress their emotions so deeply that, they don't get to feel the joys of life. And so the bridge, to me, it represents the balance between the two. So let's see what's in your shadow position. Yeah. We've got a lot of water here. So I feel like your initiation has a lot to do with emotions. And in this one, this man has no reflection. So this is making me feel like maybe you're having an identity crisis. You're not quite sure who you are. You might feel like you have to put on a show or put on a facade. And it's because the bridge or the whatever it is holding you up over this deep well of emotions that you have is you haven't built it up in a way that it's really stable yet. You've just and you know that it's time to stop, take a step back, and put some foundational work in. Void moon, do nothing. Okay. I think that this is perfect because doing nothing is doing something. So with this energy, you've got someone trying really, really hard to to perform a certain sort of energy. And so when we're talking about you trying to build solid foundation for the bridge over your emotions so that you can enjoy them fully without them taking over, doing nothing is a moment of quiet to stop doing this so that you can let the dust settle and see who you really are outside of how other people are perceiving you. And so if you're in this pile, you might have in the past or even present been really pressured to be performative in a certain way, or to live up to certain expectations, or that you might have even adopted certain mindsets and stuff and you don't even realize they're not yours, or you might have been forced to adopt certain personality traits that may not be native to you. And this happens so much. I mean, one thing is, a lot of parents like to, live vicariously through their kids. And so as a very physical world example would be like, oh, a certain man wanted to be a football star or something. And so he pressures his kids to play football or whatever. But most of it happens on a more subtle spiritual level of having to keep up certain facades, of having to feel like you're hyper vigilant and controlling the situation around you in order to keep yourself emotionally safe. And that's where the performative part comes in. And so it is it is an act of radical compassion towards yourself to just stop and let yourself sit in your own energy. And this is a place where people do not like to go because they're afraid that they'll find nothing when they get there. They'll find nothing. But the truth is, you have a beautiful depth to you. And it is bright. It's, look at all these colors. And what you will actually find is more beautiful than you'll ever expect. It's not that there's nothing there. It's just that what you find there might not be what other people want or expect, but that's okay. There's the saying, like, the people that mind don't matter and the people that matter don't mind. So whoever you are underneath all of these roles you've had to play, you are the right person for the right group of people. And the most important part is you're the right person for yourself. 8 of Cups. Yeah, you want to move away. Even here, you see this guy's about to walk out the door. You want to move away from this sort of energy of confusion around not feeling really solid and stable in your identity. You might have stable things, but you might not even feel like you resonate with those stable things necessarily. And that's why you want to dive deeper, and you need to spend time in silence with yourself without other people chit-chatting in your ears all the time. Oh, yeah, with 7 of Swords. With 7 of Swords, I get the distinct feeling of deceptive manipulation of your identity, not necessarily on purpose. And it goes back to like what I said earlier, where people are constantly trying to pressure people and twist people into who they want them to be. But that always comes from that other person's own lack of shadow work. And your sacred initiation is saying it is time for you to step back from all of that and from deceiving yourself, and just observe for a little bit without all the masks, without all the performance. King of Pentacles. Okay, this came up in Doorway 2, so if that resonated with you, check that out as well. And it actually came up in the same position, I believe. Yeah, in order to get to this, I feel like this kind of represents your true identity. You are powerful. You are grounded. You're ready to fill out your new identity. And your initiation is calling you to stand in it wholly and fully and without apology. And boy, that seems like a huge, huge leap from this, but you wouldn't be getting this if it wasn't something that was well within your power to do. Or not do. 10 of Cups. Oh my gosh. I'm pretty sure this came up in doorway number 1. It feels like all 3 doorways are really, really tied together. I think this was doorway 1. So yeah, I just want you to think about how this reinforces that your true identity is such a beautiful, abundant, stable space. So if you're scared you're going to do that exploration, there's nothing of value there, that is absolutely not the case. Everyone has value deep in their souls. They might, once again, have it all covered up with things, but you're going to find such beauty and abundance, and that's going to actually attract the kind of people and situations and vibrations into your life that aren't into your performance, but are into you. The Tower. So the Tower, I think, is misunderstood. Yeah, it's a shakeup. And going from this energy to that energy, building the foundation for your bridge. Initiations are hard. Sacred initiations are hard. But the Tower, people misunderstand it as being complete destruction and stuff. And it is. But they think that the lightning bolt is destroying. But the lightning bolt in the tree of life is the lightning bolt that flashes through the tree of life to give you understanding and to open your mind and basically to burn away and destroy the things that are not authentic about you. And so the Tower is one of the greatest gifts that we can be given, especially in sacred initiation. And so if you are scared to do this because you're afraid of that Tower moment, remember the Tower is there to clear you out and help you get to the next stage, which is the Star, which is the person who healed through the true work. And a person who is healed through the true work is so self-assured, so self-contained, so confident, and they have such a strong connection with their true self and their identity. And they're able to build a huge foundation, a bridge within their own souls to every part of themselves with acceptance and love. Alchemists, please continue the great work, and thanks for being here today. Please leave a comment below if this resonated for you. Tell us about where you are in this process if you feel comfortable, and I will see you next time.